Hello everyone, welcome to Codestur. Welcome to the C++ series. So we are going into lecture number 3. In the first lecture, we studied about variables and data types in C++. And in the second lecture, we studied about the operators and the comments that we use in C++. So in this particular video, what we are going to do is that we are going to study input and output in C++ in detail, like how all these inputs and outputs are going to work. And then we'll practice some questions over it. Fine, let's begin. So let's start with input. How does input take place? So let's suppose user is giving you some data. Fine, let this data be a number 5. User is giving you data and you want to store it. Like you need to take input, right? You're going to store it, obviously. You're going to store it. And we have already studied how to store this data. We are going to store this data in a data container, right? We are going to store this data in a data container, and that is referred to as a variable. As simple as that. So 5 will get stored in this. Simple. This is what we are aiming at. This is what we are aiming at when we just use this word input. Okay. So simple. Let's start by writing a program. Let's start by writing the program. So I'll be using that same basic template that I talked about in the lecture 1. I told you just by heart it, and from now onwards you'll start learning what each line meant in it actually. Fine. So let's write it. Hash include iostream using namespace std int main, and we are going to write our code in this, and at the end we'll write return 0. Fine. Okay, you just learned this at that point of time, and now you will understand how to use it. Fine. So what our aim is, we want to take this input, right? Input is being taken in a data container. Data container is being referred to as a variable. So first of all, I need to just declare a variable in which I am going to store that data. Okay. So in variable declaration, you knew that you need to first mention the data type and then the variable name, right? So in advance, you need to know the data type that the user is going to input. Let's suppose in this case, I'm going to enter an integer, right? This is a 5, an integer. I'm going to enter in an integer. Okay. So what is the variable that I'm going to declare? I'll just write int a. Simple. Variable is declared. In this variable, we are going to take input. The data that user is going to give is going to be stored in this variable. Okay. So what we need to do actually to take this input, we need to just write something like that: C in, and then these two signs, these two symbols, like some, this is greater than symbol, right? These two symbols, C in, these two symbols, and then write the variable name in which you need to get the data input into, right? I need the data to get put into A, so I'll just write A here, and I'll just give the semicolon at the end. Remember, you need to give semicolon at the end of each statement. You will get to know by experience where to put the semicolon and where to avoid it, right? Like sometimes you'll be saying that why didn't you put a semicolon here, why did you put it just here, why didn't you put it just here? So this will come by experience. Until now you need to just learn that. Try to put the semicolon, wherever you can remember, at least okay. And by time I'll tell you what is the meaning of the semicolon. I've told you this is just end of line, like this will tell the computer that this line has ended and it will move on to the next line after this. This is what the semicolon does. Okay, just put the semicolon. So how will this program actually look like? Let's see. Okay, let's suppose this is the screen. This is the screen. Okay, you have not outputted anything on the screen, like nothing is being outputted on the screen, right? Nothing is being displayed on the screen. You are just inputting a variable. So whenever the code will start running, the code will execute, there will be a blank screen and you will get a pointer here. Like whenever you use word, you get a pointer, right, to enter something. The same pointer, you're going to get here to enter what? Enter the value of the variable. Which variable? A variable. A variable is of type int. So what you will do is that you'll just enter 5. You'll get a pointer here. You will just enter some variable. Let's suppose it is 10, and you will hit enter. You will hit enter. Simple. And then what will happen is that the value of 10 will get stored in A, and we can use this A anywhere in the program afterwards. We'll learn how to use them, but at least for now, I'm just teaching you how to get that value from the user. Fine. This is how I got a value from the user and stored it in a variable. Okay. Let's suppose user wanted to enter a string. So what I'll do is that in the variable declaration, I'll just write string and then I will write a here. Then the user will like enter the string and the string will get stored here. Similarly, if I know that user is going to enter some decimal number, I'll write float here. If I know that user is going to enter some boolean number, I'll write bool here. If I know that user is going to write some other data type number, other data type data, I'll just write that particular data type here and then I'll take the input. Simple. First concept of this input is being clear here. Okay. Moving on to next concept. Okay. So we just got to know how to get input of a single variable from the user, right? You can just use this variable. You can just use this variable anywhere in the program afterwards. Okay. Let's move on to our next problem. What if I want to input 3 variables? Let's suppose, like I want to input multiple variables. Let that number be 3, right? I want to input 3 variables. Let's suppose A, B, and C. How will I input them? First of all, I need to declare these 3 variables, right? How will I declare all these 3 variables in a single row? I'll just write int A, B, C. Simply A, B, C. The computer will understand that we are trying to declare these 3 variables A, B, and C, which are of type int. Simple. The 3 variables are declared. Now to take input, what I will have to do is that I'll just write C in this A, again this symbol, B, again this symbol, C, and then semicolon. Again, this is called the concept of chaining. This is called like a chain is being formed there, right? A, B, C, something like that. Many number of variables could be joined. So what will happen is that something like this will take place on the screen. Something like this will take place on the screen. So before that, let me explain to you the behaviors of C++, right? The behavior. How is the C++, like behavior of scene, right? How is the scene going to behave? So when we're taking a variable as an input, like it has 2 variables. If you just hit an enter, the variable will be recorded. Simple. Let's suppose I entered a 10 on the screen and I just hit enter. This means this enter will give an indication to a computer that this 10 has to be recorded in a variable. Simple. Again, the second behavior, if we give a space between the input of the variables will be recorded with that as well. This statement will not feel like logical. I'll tell you by examples. Fine. Let's suppose we have this A, B, and C. So in order to enter all these 3 variables, like in order to give data to all these 3 variables, I'll have 2 methods. This is method 1, this is method 2. I'll simply write 10 space 15 space 20 and then I'll hit enter. So easy for the computer. This will be A, this will be B, this will be C. Simple. The method 2 states that just enter them line by line. 10, then hit enter. 15, then hit enter. 20, then hit enter. Fine. Again, the computer will recognize that this is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay, done. This is how you take input to multiple variables at the same time in a single line. Fine. This is how you take multiple variables input. Okay, moving on to output. Let's suppose, so like it is a simple fact, right, that to output on the screen you need a variable, you need some data. Data is going to be stored in a variable. So to output something on the screen, first you need to take input, right? You need to take input of that particular data, what you are going to output on the screen. Fine, I just declared a variable here, int a. I just took input of variable a. Let's suppose that input is 5, and I just hit enter. And then to output on the screen, I'll write something like that. I'll write C out, then these two, less than signs, and then I'll write the name of the variable which I want to output on the screen. Like a is this variable in this case. I'll just write a, and I'll get to see 5 on the screen simply on the next line because I hit enter here, right? I hit a enter. The cursor will automatically move to the next line, and then 5 will be present on the screen, right? Done. Same case, if I want to output multiple variables on the screen, first I'll declare multiple variables. I'll take input of this multiple variables, concept of chaining. To output all these multiple variables on the screen, I'll just write C out, this symbol A, this symbol B, this symbol C. Again, the concept of chaining, and I'll be able to see all the variables on the screen. Now let's suppose A is 10, B is 5, and C is 20. Done. So what you will expect on the screen, actually, you will expect something like that: 10, 20, like 30, or I'll just see those variables: 10, 15, and 20. Fine. So that you can just recognize that this is A, this is B, and this is C. This is not going to be the output. Output is going to be something like that: 10, 15, 20 joined, right? You will not get a space. You will not be able to recognize which one is A, which one is B, and which one is C. Simple. To give the space in between, what I'll do is that I'll just introduce the string in the C out part. So let's see how am I going to do it. I'll just write C out A, then again this, and then I'll write a space. Then I'll write a space. Simple. I'll write a space. I'll write B, I'll write a space, I'll write C. Space is also a variable, right? This is a string type variable. Simple. This is a string. We can easily see it on the screen, right? This is 10, we get a space. This is 15, we get a space. This is 20. Easily readable. This is A, this is B, this is C. Okay. Same thing could be done with another type. Let's suppose I wrote string space is equal to something like this. I just declared a variable of a space, right? Like this name can be anything, but this variable has to be same. We have to give a space in between. That's it, between the string. Simple. So what I'll write is that C out A space. Space is actually denoting this, right? I'll write B space and then C. The same result will be seen. The same result will be seen. So this is how you put space in the C out statement. Let's move on to the next problem. Let's suppose I want the output like this in single output, in single line, right? 10 here, then 15 in the next line, then 20 in the next line. Fine. This is what I want. What I'll do is that I'll have two methods. Method 1, for moving to the next line, we have this command endl. What will endl do is that it will move the cursor to the next line. Simple. That's it. It will move the cursor to the next line. Let's see how it is going to work. This is A, right? C out A. That means 10 is being printed on the screen. Then I just wrote this endl. What will endl do? It will move the cursor on the next line. Here. Fine. Something like that. Then I'll print B 20. Again endl. Cursor moving to the next line. I'll print C. Sorry. This is 15. Again endl. And then 20. This is A. This is B. This is C. This is how I used endl to print variables line by line. That's it. Method 2 to print the same thing, moving to the next line, is this string. Instead of endl, just write this simple string. Just write this simple string. This is a backward slash, and this is n. This is this. This is this, and I'll just enclose it between double quotes so that it turns into a string. Right? How will I do it? I'll just write C out A, this B, this, and C. Again, 10 prints on the screen. This moves the pointer to the next line. 15 prints on the screen. This again moves the pointer to the next line. 20 prints on the screen. Easily readable. This is A, this is B, this is C. Fine. All these were the problems that we solved just now. So now we'll solve some practical problems. Let's move on to our first problem. So this is what problem states. Like, this is all the story that you could just read in your free time. I'll provide the link to all the problems in the description box. Okay, you just need to make an account on HackerRank to solve all these problems on your own. Like, just link your Google account, that's enough. Okay, the question states that this is the sample output. Actually, you need to just print hello world on the screen. Okay, I need to just print hello world on the screen. So to print something on the screen, what I'll use is that I'll use cout. Simple cout. But we need a variable as well to print something on the screen, the data. Okay, I'll just, so this hello world is a string type variable, right? This hello world will be a string type variable because it is a combination of characters, right? So I'll just declare this variable int a is equal to hello world, and I'll use a semicolon at them. Simple, variable is declared, and to print it on the screen, I'll just write something like that: cout a. Simple, because no more conditions are given, next line, giving space, nothing like that. Okay, nothing is being given. I'll just cout a. Simple. Let's try and run the code. The code runs fine, and if I try to submit it, it gets submitted. Success. Fine. So this was the first question that you needed. Moving on to the next one, input and output. Okay, moving on to the problem statement directly. Task is just read 3 numbers from input and print their sum. Like, std in means input and std out means out. Fine, just read 3 numbers from std in and print their sum to std out. Like, the input format will be something like that. This is 1, this is 2, this is 7, separated by a space. Okay, so these are the 3 variables that are being given by the user, and you just need to make sum of them. Like, 7 plus 2 plus 1 equals 10, and you just need to print 10 on the screen. This is what you need to do. Okay, so how will we do that? Let's see. So for that purpose, first of all, I need to declare these 3 variables, right? 3 variables need to be declared. Int a, b, c. Fine, these are the 3 variables. Okay, I'll just remove this. I'll just use the statement, right? C in a, b, c. I'll get input of all these 3 variables. Like, in that case, it was 1, 2, 7. It was separated by space, right? So this will become a, this will become b, and this will become c. Simple. What I'll do next is that I'll just write cout. I'll just write cout, and I'll write something like this. Give these parentheses, brackets, a plus b plus c. Brackets are not necessary. Like, brackets are for enhancing the readability of the code. Like, if someone else is reading the code, he or she should understand that a plus b plus c means the same block. Okay, I'll just write what? A plus b plus c. All these are integers, right? Integers can be added easily. 7 plus 2 9, 9 plus 1 10. 10 gets printed on the screen. Simple, that's it. Another method that I would try and do is similarly, I'll declare these 3 variables. I'll take input of them. Fine. I'll declare another variable then, sum. Okay, and I'll write something like that: sum is equal to a plus b plus c. Now you might have understood. Sum is a variable that is going to contain the sum of a, b, and c. Right? I can give any name, sum, addition, something like that. No way. And now printing sum on the screen is quite simple. Then just cout sum. Simple. That's it. The code is done. Let's code it out. I'll declare 3 variables. I'll take input of them. Fine. I'll declare one more variable. I'll declare sum is equal to a plus b plus c. Fine. And then I'll just cout sum. Done. Okay, let's run the code. Fine. Submitting it, and results are positive. Okay, so these are the two questions that I was planning to do in this tutorial. Okay, so with this we come to the end of this tutorial. So in the next video onwards, we'll start learning some more stuff, like some more uh, good stuff. This is kind of basic stuff. We'll start learning some more good stuff. Like you might have observed that in the first video I taught you data and data types and variables, right? And in the second video I taught you operators using the same data types and variables, right? So in the second video you just got a good you might have got a good hold of data types and variables. Okay, in the third video I just taught you input and output, and in this video you might have got a good hold of how to use operators, right? Like this is minimal use. You will keep learning how to use operators ahead, but you might have got a good basic idea how to use operators, right? So basically this is how we learn a language. Actually we just derive things that we have learned earlier and we just try and use it in the next things that we are going to learn or that we are learning. Fine, this is how a language is being taught and this is how a language is being learned. So if you are not able to get what is being taught in the current video, don't worry, just try and understand it, and in the next video when we'll try and use all those same things, you will get to know everything. You will get to know how these things are working. Fine, so from the next video onwards I'll start giving you some questions as homework and I'll be discussing them in the next videos. Okay, so that would be a good practice for you. Good question practice, that is most important actually. Good question practice. Fine, so finishing this video, have a good day. Bye bye.